Zanil Dlamini was only 24 years old, living a simple life in Richards Bay, South Africa. She worked hard, saved little by little, and spent most of her free time caring for her grandmother, Gogo Namsa. For years, Gogo had been her safe place. When her parents were busy, when life felt heavy, it was Gogo who listened, who cooked for her, who prayed for her. So when Gogo passed away, Zanil felt like she had lost her whole world. The day of the will reading, the whole family gathered in the living room. The air felt heavy and quiet. Everyone wore serious faces, pretending to be sad, but Zanil could see the hidden excitement in their eyes. They were thinking about money and property, not memories. Zanil sat quietly in a corner. She wasn't expecting anything. She only came to honor Gogo. Then her uncle, Mandla Dlamini, cleared his throat and stood up with the papers in his hand. Zanil is not part of this inheritance, he said loudly. The room froze. Zanil lifted her head in shock. What? She whispered. Mandla continued. She is ungrateful. She has no husband, no children. She has done nothing for this family. Her heart started beating fast. Before she could speak, her cousins began laughing. Of course she gets nothing, one of them said. Another added, she's useless anyway. Zanil felt her face burn with shame. Then Mandla took a pen and crossed her name out in front of everyone. Right there, in public. No one stopped him. No one defended her. In that moment, Zanil realized something painful. This was not just about a will. Her own family had decided she no longer belonged. After the will reading, Zanil went home feeling empty. Her chest felt heavy, and her head was full of questions. She kept asking herself, why did they do this to me? What did I ever do wrong? She cried quietly that night, so no one could hear her. She didn't want anyone to see how broken she felt. 2 days later, her uncle Mandla called her. Come to the house, he said. We want to talk. Zanil almost didn't go, but a small part of her still hoped they might apologize. Maybe they had made a mistake. Maybe they would fix it. When she arrived, the whole family was there again, sitting like judges in a court. Mandla stood up and placed an envelope on the table. We know you were hurt, he said in a fake soft voice, so we decided to give you something. He pushed the envelope toward her. Zanil opened it slowly. Inside were 2 shiny tickets. A luxury family trip to Zanzibar. 5-star hotel. Beach view. Everything paid. Her cousins smiled proudly, as if they had given her gold. This is your compensation, Mandla said. Take this trip. Enjoy yourself. And in return, you promise never to challenge the will. Zanil's hands started shaking. So this was it. They didn't want peace. They wanted silence. They wanted to buy her dignity with plain tickets. You should be grateful, one aunt added. Many girls get nothing. Zanil forced a small smile and took the envelope. She didn't argue. She didn't cry. She just nodded and walked out. That night, she sat alone in her small room. The tickets lay on her bed, shining under the weak light. She stared at them for hours. Then memories started coming back. She remembered feeding Gogo when she was too weak to hold a spoon. She remembered sleeping on the floor beside her bed during long nights. She remembered running to the pharmacy in the rain. She remembered missing parties and fun just to be with her. No one saw that. No one counted that. Only Gogo did. Tears rolled down her face. These tickets are not my value, she whispered. They think I'm cheap. She held the envelope tightly, her heart hurting. But slowly, something stronger was growing inside her. Pride and courage. For 3 days, Zanil kept the tickets in her bag. Everywhere she went, they were there. When she went to work, she felt them. When she sat alone at night, she touched them. When she tried to sleep, she remembered them. They felt heavy. Not because of their price, but because of what they meant. Silence. Humiliation. Control. One evening, just before sunset, Zanil walked into her small backyard. The sky was orange and pink. Birds were flying home. The street was quiet. It felt like the world had slowed down, just for her. She brought a small metal bowl, a matchbox, and the envelope. She sat on the ground and looked at the tickets one last time. Zanzibar. Beautiful beaches. Soft beds. Smiling photos. A fake reward for real pain. Her hands were shaking, but her eyes were steady. I'm not for sale, she whispered. She tore the tickets in half, then into smaller pieces. She placed them in the bowl. With trembling fingers, she lit a match. For a second, she hesitated. Then she dropped it. The fire caught quickly. Orange flames ate the paper. The names. The dates. The lies. Everything turned into ash. A few neighbors had stopped walking. Some stood at their gates. Some watched from windows. No one said a word. They didn't ask questions. They just watched a young woman burn something that looked expensive and looked painful. Zanil didn't take out her phone. No video. No post. No proof. This moment was only hers. As the last piece turned black, tears fell from her eyes. She cried for Gogo. She cried for her childhood. She cried for the family she thought she had. But with every tear, her chest felt lighter. For the first time in weeks, she could breathe. That night, she went back inside and opened her phone. One by one, she left every family group chat. Dlamini family. Cousins only. Aunties united. Exit. 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 Then she blocked some numbers. Deleted others. Silence. Peace. 2 weeks later, she packed her life into one suitcase. Clothes. Her laptop. Her savings. Nothing else. No apologies. No explanations. She took a bus to Durban. As the city disappeared behind her window, Zanil whispered softly, "I'm choosing myself now." And for the first time, she believed it. When Zanil arrived in Durban, she had no big plans and no rich friends waiting for her. She only had one suitcase, her laptop, and a small amount of savings. That was it. The city felt loud and fast. Cars, buses, people, noise everywhere. At first, she felt scared. Everything was new. Everything was unfamiliar. But she reminded herself, I chose this. I chose freedom. After 2 days of searching, she found a tiny room in Umlotsi. It was behind an old house, made of thin walls and a rusty door. Inside, there was only a small bed, a plastic chair, and a table that shook when she touched it. The ceiling leaked when it rained. The window hardly opened, but it was hers. Her first place. Her first step. She paid the rent and sat on the bed for a long time, just breathing. The next morning, reality hit her. She needed money. Fast. She went from hotel to hotel, asking for work. Many people ignored her. Some laughed. Some said, "We'll call you," and never did. Finally, a small hotel manager gave her a chance. Cleaning rooms. Washing toilets. Changing beds. Carrying heavy bags. It was hard. Her back hurt. Her hands became rough. Some guests treated her like she was invisible. But she never complained. In the evenings, when she was tired and dirty, she opened her laptop. She did small online jobs. Typing documents. Designing simple posts. Managing social media pages. The pay was little, but it helped. At night, when others were sleeping, Zanil studied. She watched free videos about digital marketing. She read articles. She practiced again and again. Sometimes her eyes burned from tiredness. Sometimes she fell asleep on the keyboard. But she didn't stop. While studying, memories often came back. She remembered her cousin laughing. "You in computers? You think you're special." She remembered her aunt saying, "Girls like you should just find a husband." She remembered Manla's voice. "Dreams don't pay bills." Back then, those words hurt her. Now they pushed her. Every insult became fuel. Every doubt became strength. Some nights, she cried quietly on her bed. She missed Gogo. She missed feeling safe. But every morning, she woke up again, put on her uniform, picked up her bag, and kept going. Zanil was starting from nothing. No support. No shortcuts. No favors. Only courage. Only faith. Only hard work. And slowly, without anyone noticing, she was building something powerful. One quiet Sunday afternoon, Zanil decided to clean her small room. Work had been slow that week, and she finally had a few free hours. Her bed was messy. Her clothes were piled in one corner. Old bags were stacked near the wall. Some of them still came from Richards Bay, things she had brought when she first ran away. She hadn't touched them in months. That day, for some reason, she felt ready. She sat on the floor and opened the first bag. Old clothes. Shoes with broken heels. A scarf that still smelled like home. Then she opened another bag. Inside were Gogo's things. A small blanket. Prayer beads. A faded photo of them together. Her chest tightened. She held the photo and whispered, "I miss you, Gogo." At the bottom of the bag, she felt something hard. A small brown notebook. It was wrapped in plastic. Carefully, like someone was trying to protect it. Her heart started beating fast. She slowly removed the cover. On the first page, written in neat handwriting, were the words, "Namsa Dlamini, personal diary." Her hands began to shake. This was Gogo's diary. She had never seen it before. Zanil sat on her bed and opened it gently, as if it might break. Inside were pages full of Gogo's thoughts. About life, about faith, about family, about pain. Zanil read for hours. She laughed at some parts. She cried at others. Then, near the back of the diary, she found something that made her freeze. Several pages were folded together. Inside were copies of documents, land papers, legal letters, notes written in Gogo's handwriting. Zanil read them again and again. Her eyes widened. Her breathing stopped. The papers showed that Gogo had shares of land in Mpumalanga, valuable land. And in her notes, Gogo had clearly written, "This land is for Zanil. She cared for me. She stayed. She loved me." Zanil covered her mouth. Tears filled her eyes. "But I got nothing," she whispered. She kept reading. Then she saw it. Another note from Gogo. Manla took some pages. He said he would help with the will. "I am worried." Zanil's body went cold. Suddenly, everything made sense. The missing inheritance. The crossed-out name. The fake sympathy. The tickets. It was all planned. Manla had hidden the truth. He had stolen her future. Her hands were shaking now, but her heart was strong. For the first time since Gogo died, Zanil didn't feel helpless. She felt powerful. She held the diary to her chest and whispered, "Thank you, Gogo. You protected me, even after death." That night, she carefully took photos of every page, every note, every document. She saved them in 3 places: her laptop, her phone, a USB drive. Zanil now had proof. Not anger, not rumors. Evidence. And with it, a new hope was born. After finding Gogo's diary, Zanil felt many emotions at once. Anger, pain, shock, relief. She wanted to run straight to the police. She wanted to shout at Mandla. She wanted to drag him to court immediately. But that night, as she sat on her bed holding the diary, she thought deeply. If I go now, am I strong enough? Do I have money for lawyers? Do I have power? The answer was no. She was still cleaning hotel room, still counting every rand, still living in a tiny room. If she fought now, they would crush her. So she made a brave decision. She would wait. She would grow first. She would become strong. The next morning, she opened her laptop and wrote 2 words in a notebook. Zani Brand Media. That was her dream. Her own digital marketing company. No boss. No limits. No begging. She started small. She made free pages for small shops. She helped street vendors advertise online. She designed posters for hair salons and cafes. At first, people paid her very little. Sometimes nothing. But she treated every client like gold. She worked late nights. She fixed mistakes. She learned new skills. Slowly, her name started spreading. Try Zanil. She's good. She's honest. She delivers. After 1 year, she left hotel cleaning. It was scary. No fixed salary. No safety. But she trusted herself. She focused fully on her business. She attended free workshops. Joined online groups. Sent hundreds of emails. Most were ignored. Some replied. 1 client became 5. 5 became 20. 2 years later, Zani Brand Media was managing brands in Durban, Johannesburg, Gaborone, and even Namibia. Big companies now called her, "Ms. Dlamini, we need you." She smiled every time she heard that. With her earnings, she bought a small apartment. Clean, quiet, bright, her own keys, her own space. No landlord shouting, no leaking roof. The first night there, she slept on the floor and cried. Not from pain, from pride. She bought simple furniture. A desk, a sofa, a bed. Nothing fancy. But everything was hers. She didn't post online. She didn't brag. She didn't go back to her family. She stayed silent, growing, learning, building. Her confidence changed. She walked differently, spoke calmly, chose wisely. People could feel her strength. Zanil had learned something powerful. Real power doesn't shout. It waits. It works. And then one day it rises. Success has a strange way of changing people. One day, Zanil was nothing. The next day, everyone remembered her. It started slowly. An aunt she hadn't heard from in years sent a message. "Hi, my child, how are you? I miss you." Zanil stared at the screen and smiled quietly. "Since when?" Then a cousin called. "We're having a wedding next month. You must come. You are family." Family. That word sounded strange now. Soon more messages came. Funeral invitations, birthday parties, church programs. People who once laughed at her now wanted her presence. Then one evening, her phone rang. Mandla, her uncle, the same man who crossed her name out. She hesitated, then answered. "My daughter," he said warmly. "How are you, my star? We are so proud of you." Her stomach turned. "My daughter? Where was this love before?" "Thank you, uncle," she replied calmly. "Nothing more." He continued. "You know, the family misses you. We should meet. We should talk." She knew what that meant. They had heard. About Zani Brand. About her apartment. About her money. Success had made her visible. Again. At family events, they treated her differently. They saved her a good seat. They offered her food first. They introduced her proudly. "This is Zanil, our businesswoman." She smiled politely. She greeted everyone. But she shared nothing. No stories. No plans. No emotions. Her heart stayed guarded. Behind closed doors, she watched carefully. She noticed how Manla suddenly called her every week, how he praised her in front of others, how he hinted about family unity and forgiveness. Once he said softly, "We should forget the past. Life is short." She looked at him and replied gently, "Yes, life is short." But she didn't forget. While they were busy pretending, Zanil was working quietly. She searched for lawyers online. She read reviews. She asked business friends for advice. Finally, she met with a strong, experienced lawyer in Durban. She carried Gogo's diary in her bag like treasure. Inside the office, she told her story. Everything. The will. The tickets. The lies. The hidden pages. The lawyer listened carefully. Then he said, "You have a strong case." For the first time, Zanil felt calm. Not excited. Not angry. Ready. She signed papers. Paid the fee. And walked out silently. No announcements. No warnings. No drama. Her family thought they were winning her back. They thought she was soft again. They were wrong. Zanil had learned the game. Smile outside, strength inside. And soon, the truth would speak for her. The courtroom in Bombila was packed. Sunlight streamed through the tall windows, casting long shadows across the polished floor. Zanil walked in quietly, holding her folder close. She wasn't nervous anymore. She was ready. She had waited, prepared, and worked for this moment. Every step she had taken in Durban had led to this day. Her family sat across the room. Manla's face was pale, his confident smile gone. Her cousins shifted in their seats, whispering to each other. All the laughter and mockery from years ago seemed distant now. Only the past few months of preparation had meaning. When the judge called the case, Zanil stepped forward. Her lawyer handed over a neatly organized folder. "Your Honor, this contains Gogo Namsa's diary and related documents," he said. "It clearly shows that the inheritance was intended for Zanil Dlamini." The judge took the diary and examined the pages carefully. Zanil watched silently, her hands folded, her heart steady. Then the courtroom quieted as the judge looked at Mandla. "Mr. Mandla Dlamini," the judge said, voice firm, "it appears from these documents that you intentionally hid the pages concerning your niece's inheritance. You attempted to manipulate the will and deny her rightful property." Mandla opened his mouth, but no words came. He looked around. The cousins avoided eye contact. Even the aunts and uncles shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Zanil's lawyer continued. "We also have evidence that she cared for Gogo Namsa during her final years, which further confirms her rightful claim." The judge nodded and slammed the gavel. "The inheritance shall be fully restored to Zanil Dlamini. Furthermore, this court notes the deliberate attempt to mislead and manipulate the will. The actions of the family members involved are hereby recorded for public record." A murmur ran through the courtroom. Cameras clicked. Phones lit up. The people who had once humiliated her were now facing public shame. Some covered their faces. Others sat frozen, speechless. Zanil felt a wave of relief and quiet triumph wash over her. She had not yelled. She had not begged. She had not demanded revenge. She had waited. She had built her strength. As she held the diary close, she whispered softly to herself, "Gogo, we did it." For the first time in her life, Zanil felt completely free. Her dignity was intact. Her inheritance was restored. And the family that had tried to destroy her now had to face the truth. Without excuses, without lies, and without escape. She left the courtroom calmly, head high, eyes bright, and heart stronger than ever. When the inheritance was finally legally hers, Zanil felt a mix of triumph and quiet relief. The house in Mpumalanga was large, beautiful, and filled with memories, some sweet, many painful. She walked through the rooms slowly, touching the walls, remembering Gogo's laughter, her own childhood, and the years her family had tried to erase her. For a moment, she imagined living there. A big house, luxury, recognition. Everything Manla and the others had tried to deny her. But as she stood in the bright living room, Zanil shook her head. She didn't want revenge. She didn't want to fill the house with anger or let her relatives see her pride as a weapon. That wasn't her path. Instead, she made a bold decision. She contacted a girls' shelter in Mpumalanga and offered part of the property to them. They could use it to give young girls a safe place to live, learn, and grow. Something Zanil knew was far more valuable than luxury or grudges. When the shelter staff saw her offer, they were stunned. She laughed softly, a sound full of freedom and purpose, and said, "This house is not for revenge. It's for hope." She kept only what she needed, a small, comfortable space with her essentials, a few of Gogo's belongings, and a corner for her laptop and work. Everything else she left to serve a greater purpose. The house became a home, not for her family, but for those who truly needed one. Meanwhile, her relatives tried to reach out. Manla called again and again, stumbling over apologies. Cousins sent messages asking to meet. Aunts wrote letters begging for forgiveness. Zanil listened politely, but her smile was calm and distant. She didn't lecture. She didn't humiliate. She just stayed firm, letting her actions speak louder than their words ever could. Some begged more desperately than others, offering gifts, flattery, and promises. But Zanil didn't need any of it. She had her dignity. She had her strength. She had built her life from nothing, and no one could take that away. In the end, Zanil realized that true power doesn't come from punishing those who wronged you. It comes from standing tall, choosing wisely, and giving back even when you could take everything. She had won, not with anger, not with revenge, but with patience, courage, and heart. As she watched the girls laughing in the part of the house she had donated, Zanil whispered quietly to herself, "This is what real victory feels like." The room was packed. Women from all over South Africa had gathered in Cape Town for the annual summit. Bright banners hung on the walls. Cameras flashed. But when Zanil walked onto the stage, the crowd went quiet. She stood tall, her laptop bag and small notes forgotten backstage. For a moment, she just looked at the faces in front of her. Young women, older women, women who had faced challenges she knew too well. Then she began to speak. "I want to tell you a story," she said, her voice steady but warm. "A story about family, betrayal, and finding strength in the hardest moments of life." She shared everything. How she had cared for Gogo Namsa. How her own family had crossed her name out of the will. How they tried to humiliate her, offer her tickets to silence her, and make her feel small. She spoke of loneliness, of nights spent working 2 jobs, studying by candlelight, and building a life from nothing. The audience listened, captivated. Some wiped tears from their eyes. Others nodded, understanding the pain, the courage, and the resilience it took to keep going. Zanil smiled softly, remembering all the moments that led her here. "I didn't fight with anger," she said. "I didn't try to punish anyone. I focused on myself. I built my business. I created my space. I reclaimed my dignity." She paused and looked out at the crowd, letting the silence sink in. Then, with quiet strength, she said, "They tried to buy my silence with tickets. I chose dignity and built my own destination." The room erupted into applause. Women stood, cheering, clapping, inspired by her story. Some were moved to tears. Zanil stepped back, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders. For the first time in her life, she realized that the journey wasn't just about winning back what was taken. It was about showing the world, and herself, that no one could ever define her worth. She had done that, and now she was unstoppable.